Hi everyone, welcome. I'm down here in my wormery and I've got a number of things all set up, ready to go. Like you can see my collection of pre-made bedding here. Even some of the foods that the worms are going to be getting today are already out here on the bench. Some nice strawberries, some nice cantaloupe down there. Apple peels, bread, even some bread, coffee. Pretty staple item. The worms that we're feeding today, they're red wigglers. Pretty young bins, relatively speaking. The older stuff that I've got ends up over here on the shelf. All the newer stuff's been overflowing in this direction. they're they're right over here in these black tubs. They are red wigglers, which at this point, well, the older one has reached 96 days of age, and the younger one, 61 days of age. You can see they've been fed 8 and 5 times. The population size too, you can see there's a significantly greater number of worms living in bin number 1. So we're going to get these little guys fed. It's been 10 days since their last feeding. There's an interesting novelty item, piece of cotton, a cotton piece of fabric, a beach towel, a chunk of beach towel that's in each of those systems for 43 days. Now we'll see how that's coming along too. So let's get these bins up on the bench and get them fed. Besides my prepared bedding, I've also got some very unprepared bedding, just a box full of leaves from outside. Let's try to combine some of this, a little bit of that. And I've even got some replacement top covering newspaper, so that means we could take this piece of newspaper that's in here already, nice and seasoned. We'll just repurpose it as bedding too. So yeah, we're going to go big on bedding today. Give the worms a nice little playground. We've even got new, as you saw earlier, we got coffee, which means new coffee filters. That means the old coffee filter gets upgraded as worm bin bedding also. So yeah, less than 100 days old. 4 days from now, this system will reach 100 days of age. Lots of castings piling up, but there's also a good bit of bedding material mixed in with all the stuff. Very, very nice. Moisture just in general feels really good right out to the edge. Everything seems nice, light and fluffy, nice and crumbly. Very nice. Alright, let's see. We had the feeding zone indicator was right here in the middle, right? Showing us where the last feeding was applied 10 days ago. Well, we'll have to see if there's any leftovers. I mean, there's little bits of leftover pieces of bedding I'm seeing here and there. I see evidence of leaves being used here too. Leaf stems everywhere. Stuff is actually pretty good. You know, gives the worms some good rough stuff to hang out on. What is down here? Tough item. Mango seed. It's been in here for a little while. Still doesn't want to crack open. I'm not going to force it either. We're already starting to see a little bit of the beach towel down here. We'll get there though. I don't want to try yanking it through stuff piled on top of it and put any undue strain on it. My preference would be to see how long it takes for that to just tear on its own or to be diminished into having holes, you know, holes not caused by me puncturing it, but holes that have been eaten out by the worms. That's what I'm interested in seeing, because I could tear this piece of cotton towel up into little pieces very easily. Stuff sat out in a windowsill once for many years. Poor towel was just sort of forgotten about out there. So it's already got a tremendous amount of just UV, ultraviolet light hitting it, you know, day in, day out over many years, causing a great deal of initial wear before it even got placed in here for the worms to do a number on it. So I don't think any of it was tearing. And so far, how the worms are hanging out on it. So far I don't really see any significant spots through which the light clearly shines through, although here it is getting a little, what's the word, threadbare, I guess. Might be a little tricky to see. I'm able to hold the towel up to the window and see some light streaming through. Nice little piece of towel. I think the worms seem to like it. And another slow moving item. Other slow moving items, the stem of a pumpkin. Looks like we've also got some other residual bedding materials down here from previous feedings. We'll definitely reuse all that stuff when we rebuild their feeding zone. This is an item we should take a closer look at some point. cork that's been floating around within many of my systems for quite a number of years. Slowly getting worked. Let's see if this, nope. There again, I don't want to exert too much force on it. This is just the stem of an the seed of an avocado. And this looks like more avocado right there. Oddly enough, I can identify this as a piece of, there it is, corn cob. You could tell that it's that too now. Just got to break off some of the castings adhering to it. But you can see all the little worms hanging out inside of it. Alright. Have we made enough room to be super generous with bedding today? I hope so. Let's give ourselves just a little bit more room so we can really pile stuff in, right? We were gonna take this old stuff, because it's all being upgraded with new stuff. So we can put some of that down in here. This is stuff the worms are definitely gonna really enjoy. What else do we have? A lot of times I like to also just quickly return all the old stuff. Look at that piece of old paper towel. Probably will benefit a little bit by being torn up into a few smaller fragments instead of allowing it to remain in just a big chunk like that. Okay. It'll all go eventually, but giving it a little bit more surface area this way, tearing it into smaller bits, spreading it around lets it get accessed more easily from all directions. All the old stuff's been placed down back into the feeding area. I really like the way this was done last time, where the cotton got put in between the old stuff. Although it makes me wonder how popular the old stuff really is. Maybe we'll start adding food now. Let's pile these pieces of bread on here, because I was really curious about these. And right on top of that, I thought a lot of times we always, kind of top off with the coffee. I think we switch that up a little bit and we put it in down here along with the yummy bread. And with that, we've got ourselves a nice replacement feeding zone indicator. And now, on top of that, with the coffee and the bread, some of the fresh, yummy foods will go the towel. So all the food that they're getting is going to be sort of piled above and below it. Let's see if I grab these, and the rest is for the other system. Here, yeah, that's right. They're going to love this, right? A few chunks of cantaloupe rind here. Some strawberry. Some of these are big. Nice whole piece of strawberry right there. You could also see some apple peel. So this is the dessert layer here. They're going to enjoy this. All right. We've pretty nice and evenly spread it all out here. Worms are going to have a little feast, and I don't think this stuff's going to last very long. I got a feeling they're going to go through that pretty quick. And what do you think? Is it going to help drive traffic down into the towel? I hope it does. So let's throw in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, then we could cover up. This is some of my prepared bedding. We'll throw about a handful of this in here too. You can see we're being quite generous on the bedding here. That's kind of been my theme, most of my systems. We even throw in a little bit more. How's that? Very nice. And we can cover up. Now, a lot of times I've been checking the outskirts of a lot of my systems. On something like this, I can almost tell just from examining the parts that we've already looked at what it's going to be like throughout. So whatever, I don't think we went to the bottom out on any of the outer edges, but for the heck of it, let's take a look. You can see how many worms are in there. So many. Awesome. Okay, great. Let's mark where we last fed. And the replacement top coverings that I've got are like this. Going all the way out to the far edges. A little bit of space on the sides for them to bypass if they want to and climb on top even if they wish. Alright, on to the younger bin. Here we go. This is the 61-day-old system. We've fed this one 5. This is going to be feeding number 6. Feeding that the previous system got was its feeding number 9. And don't forget, it's estimated that that system had probably more than twice as many worms living in it. Maybe not more than twice, but almost twice. So we're going to follow sort of like the first bin's routine here of recycling all that top covering because they're going to get new, and beefing up the bedding. But at the same time, if we can collect up some of the old stuff, I always like to return all that old stuff, integrate it into the most recent feeding if it's practical. So here's our towel. And you can see we've been pretty consistent divvying out things to these systems. So I wonder how much of it's going to come across as sort of a carbon copy. Obviously that piece of mango seed was consistent between both systems. Let's brush things away so we can get the cotton towel out and see how it held up. I don't think there was other than this. I mean, there was a avocado pit, but as far as that pumpkin stem goes, and as far as that cork goes, for sure, that cork is going to only be seen in that system over there. And pumpkin stem, we could have probably given these guys some pumpkin stem too, in the interest of maintaining consistency between the two systems. But so far I've not seen anything of it. Alright, can we get this towel out yet? No, there we go. Sort of as we predicted. And it does seem like it's letting me break it, so let's see if I'm able to. Oops, darn it. Okay, that's kind of exactly what I'm usually trying to avoid by just resisting the urge to really go at something like this if it feels like it's not ready. This one's ready, so it can start getting helped along, I think. A lot of stuff I don't help along, just rather see how it breaks down on its own without any help. Lots of nice bedding in here already. You can see we've already applied some of our building the systems big in the beginning thinking. So once again, I'm just looking up through the towel. I could see a few spots where it's starting to become easy to see through it, where it's getting nibbled away. Very cool. And all we really need to do now is just once again excavate a nice big hole where we can drop in today's bedding abundant feeding. And as you can see, we've been really, look at all this stuff. Lots of leftover shredded paper, cardboard from last or previous feedings. It looks very fresh, so I'm assuming it was part of the last. But guess what? We're giving them even more. Alright, let's go. Let's do the same thing. Drop in all this stuff that was sprawled out across the top because we're replacing all of it with nice new materials. And then how did we do it? We brought in all this old stuff that we encountered along the way. Right? And at this point, the avocado pit is a lot more fragmented than it had been previously. I think there was also, wasn't there some leftovers up here? Maybe some of this leftover newspaper and paper towel. There were just a few somewhat larger objects that I thought we would include down in the feeding area too, but for the most part it's a lot of this really sort of confetti cut shredded paper almost everywhere. And it was on top of all of this that I forget, did we first put the coffee? I think we may have, right? Let's proceed with piling in the feeding. Yeah, that's what we did. It was something like that. We had done sort of a foundation layer underneath the towel, right, with the bread and the coffee, so that the worms would sense that, all those yummy new things. After which we would then proceed to stack in some of the other nice new yummy things. And some worms are going to figure out that if they want to get a little bit of yummy food from this side and a little bit of yummy food from that side, they're going to have to either go around the towel or preferably burrow through it. That's what we want to promote, right? Get those really anxious worms that sense all the yummy stuff right there on the other side of that towel, and just go ahead and start chomping down on the towel. Do away with it for us. Here's some other leftover large bits of paper towel and other things we bumped into along the way. Let's give the feeding a little dose of this pulverized eggshell as grit, and then similar to before, just feel like I'm running out of space. Alright, this ain't bad. Somehow it seemed like we might have already given the system a little bit of the same sort of treatment as we just did now, which was, you know, intended just to boost up the whole shebang's volume in general. And it does feel weird for a system that's only about 2 months old at this point to already be kind of, I don't know, getting very close to the top edge with all this stuff. You know, granted, I've fluffed a lot of it up at this point. So as the worms start to travel through it and it all settles down and they convert a lot of it from bedding into castings, it'll naturally settle. You can definitely tell there's so many fewer worms in this material, but they're going to do fine. They're going to sense all this additional real estate we've been giving them, and then they'll hopefully treat us to a bunch of baby worms to check out at some point soon when they sense that there's a whole bunch of extra room in here. So I'm starting to feel like we've got everything taken care of, right? We've given them all that nice bedding that we wanted to, and we've even deployed a couple nice replacement pieces of top covering feeding zone indicator and top covering newspaper. So that's it for our check-in today with the red wigglers. Doing really nice, kind of young systems, pretty big disparity in population sizes, but I don't know, it'll be interesting to watch how this system progresses. I got a feeling it'll catch up some soon. Alright everyone, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. It's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's really appreciated as well. Alright everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.